Honestly, I just think it was the lifestyle. I was hungry. I was hungry. I had to do what I had to do at that time to survive as well. You know, I wasn't stealing the cars for popularity. I was stealing the cars to make my bites, to move me around, you know, to make things better for me. And I mean, I wasn't stealing cars and dating women. You know what I mean? Taking them on dates. I was using cars for other things too. I'd rather not speak on, but
Prison Stories 101, man. I believe as of right now, this is our first time sitting down. We done had many of blacks, had a couple Mexicans. I had one white girl. But this is my first time sitting down with my Caucasian brother, man. Red Dawg, man. What's good with it? Blessings. For first and foremost, if you don't mind, introduce yourself and let them know how much time you did.
Yeah, I did 10 years in TDC. My name's Red Dawg. I'm from Eastwood, Fort Worth, Texas. And right quick, before we get too far into this, I'd like to give a shout out.
Please.
I'd like to shout out to my children, my family, 88 Dub, upcoming artists in the city. I would also like to shout out to OG, the Don, Keista, OG Kiki from Eastwood.
Yeah.
You coming home soon, homie.
Yeah.
I would also like to give a shout out, or say R.I.P. Pee Wee, R.I.P. Pee Wee, Eastwood. Gone but never forgotten, homie.
Yeah, that's real. Before we get started, let's stay right there, man, because you opened up the doors. You said shout out to your children, man. How many children you got?
16 children. Just had my baby girl Bailey 2 weeks ago.
Oh. Congratulations, first and foremost.
Thank you.
I think I was just talking to you off camera. You said 16. How many did you have before you went in? How many did you have after?
My first stretch, I had no children. Second stretch, I went back. I had 3 children. And since I've been out, I've added 13 more to them.
13. If you don't mind speaking on the mentality of spreading your seed as such, is it by nature you wanted to do this, or is it just more so your pullout game is a little weak?
It's hard to hear you, my man.
Oh.
You know, you fucking with a 50-year-old man right now.
Talk to him. I ain't even got to the age yet.
Yeah, I've been hitting the head so many times down this stretch. It's hard to hear. I barely can see you. I'm
yeah.
So come on with it, homie. Say it again.
The mentality of having 16 kids.
Right.
What is that? Is that what you wanted? Is that just...
Now, I'll be honest with you about the children. The children who keep me mentally stable. Like, when I got out the penitentiary, first time when I went to penitentiary, I was reckless. I was just doing what it do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I came home, when I had my 3 children out there, Michaela, Elijah, and Isaiah, which one of them Dub, I went back that stretch. It was very depressing, you know? When you have children and somebody depending on you, you go back down to the penitentiary. So now that I'm out, of course, all men, like, we like women. So it seems like every time I lay with one, I have another child. You know what I'm saying? But I'm very, very, very happy for my children. Like I said again, they're the ones that I'm here for. You know, they're the reason that I wake up and breathe and find a way for them. You know what I mean? They depend on me, so I have to. Once you have somebody depending on you in the first time in your life, I didn't have nobody depending on me the first time I went down. Second time I did. Now this time I for sure ain't letting go.
There you go. Come on. Now you out of Fort Worth. You mentioned Eastwood.
Correct. Eastwood, Paru.
Come on.
Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah, we don't see too many bloods that come through on these platforms out of Fort Worth, and then we definitely don't see that many, white boys, whites being part of the blood community.
Correct. And I feel like, honestly, I've never met too many myself, and actually to be like me, I've met none, 0. Like I am really him.
Yeah,
I really am. That's that. I'm from Eastwood, Paru. stand firm, went to the penitentiary, stood firm, came out. My whole city knows who I am. Not saying it in a negative way, just saying that, I give a lot of respect out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what would you, back then, what would you do for your reputation back then?
Whatever it took. By me being a white boy in the situation that I'm in, it was a daily battle because I felt like didn't nobody accept me anyway. Even in a situation like in the penitentiary, the Bloods and the Pyrus and whoever was with, they didn't accept me. If they wasn't from my city, I had to prove myself. So I went to the penitentiary and I got my boxing game better. So you get respect with that. Plus, it wasn't just the fighting through the penitentiary; it was the way I carried myself through the penitentiary.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go through there. Normally when we have somebody on the platform for the first time, we try to find out what led them up to their prison sentence. Right. So before we get started, first and foremost, how much time did you do your first stint? How much time did you do the second?
First time altogether with my back time and the county time, 10 years.
What year did you first go in? What year did you get out?
1990, went in 93. And I got out in, I actually went to the penitentiary in 94, I think. And I got out in 2000. So that made 6 years right there, but I'd already had back time from the county and other, places they had sent me, which made 10 years. Yeah.
Man, 93, 94, that's the height of the Blood and Crip War, if
Correct.
you would say.
Correct.
I remember there was a movie called Gang Banging in Little Rock that was back then. And a lot of people didn't know what was going down in Fort Worth. Even people that watched that Gang Banging in Little Rock, how comparative was that to like what was going on in Fort Worth with the Bloods and Crips at the time?
Well, I didn't get to see too much of gang banging in Little Rock because we was gang banging in Eastwood.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? I wasn't paying attention to the outside. I was an insider. Like real life. It was nothing compared to a movie, to be honest with you, because it was real life. People were dying every day on both sides. People getting shot up every day on both sides. It was something I pray to God we never get back into. The youngsters nowadays, they feel like they're really doing something, right? And to me, and all due respect to the youngsters, now I ain't shooting at nobody, but back then you really had to be about that lifestyle. Yeah. Period. You couldn't and not back that up. You understand what I'm saying? You had to really be about that.
At the height of it, what was it like just waking up, going outside? Like how on your P's and Q's did you have to be?
Oh, for me, especially by me being white, like I was a target. Understand what I'm saying? When walking outside was, again, I didn't get a lot of freedom. I went to prison quick. And I think that's why God, I tell a lot of people I'm on borrowed time. You know what I mean? Because truth be told, if I was still in them streets, I probably wouldn't be behind this camera today. The streets was deadly, very deadly. And, I held nothing back. I would just,
For the sentence that you got, what was the crime that was committed for them to?
Here's the deal. I learned how to steal cars, right? I was broke coming up. I didn't have, we're young. So I stole a few cars, kind of got caught up with that. Then aggravated armed robbery with a deadly weapon. That's what actually sent me to penitentiary. Yeah.
We try to understand who was affected by you going to prison. Who did you leave behind? Who was affected by your crimes? What would you say as far as the who?
Well, at that time, it was just me and my grandfather. He raised me. I'm sure my family kind of felt affected by it, but the person most affected by it was me. Because again, I didn't know what I was walking into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I knew that I wasn't gonna tuck my tail. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly. Now, lastly, we try to find out the why. When you look in front of a judge, you've been, aggravated robbery, you're stealing cars. When you ask yourself, why did I end up here? Whether it goes back to lack of parenting, trying to be down for, the hood, trying to impress a girl for the money.
Right.
What would you say was the why that led you to sit in front of that judge right there?
Honestly, I just think it was the lifestyle. I was hungry. I was hungry. I had to do what I had to do at that time to survive as well. You know, I wasn't stealing the cars for popularity. I was stealing the cars to make my bites, to move me around, you know, to make things better for me. And I mean, I wasn't stealing cars and dating women. You know what I mean? Taking them on dates. I was using cars for other things too. I'd rather not speak on, but we would snatch them cars up and use cars for things.
How much would you get for just the average stolen car, depending on what kind of car it was?
Yeah, again, I wasn't stealing them to sell them.
Oh, you weren't chopping them down?
I was stealing them to use them in a shooting.
The aggravated, you said aggravated assault or aggravated robbery?
Aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon.
What was that scenario, okay, if you could speak on that as far as what happened in that situation?
Well, once I found out that a pistol could make a man break, that was my ticket at that time. And I know I don't want to sit here and feel like...
Yeah, we're not glorifying none of this.
No, I'm not glorifying it. I was lost. I was a young man that, I had a family, but we was broke. And I needed things that everybody else had. I mean, simple things, you know. I wasn't like I was getting the lavish stuff out of it. I was just surviving.
Were you banging in high school?
Right. First, when I first jumped off the porch, man, I was with this little clique called PLM, right? And this is really before the Bloods and the Crips really kicked off. But you know, I'm from the hood, and where I'm from, actually, I grew up in Poly, which is right beside Eastwood, but it was predominantly a black area. Yeah. You know what I mean? So all my partners was black my whole life. So I went to this school called Pascal because I got put out of Poly for carrying a pistol. So when I finally got back to go to school, Poly wouldn't even accept me no more. Yeah. So I had to go to another school, and they sent me to Pascal because my dad said he's gonna try to save my life.
Yeah, yeah. Even being in school, again, even being part of a clique, again, you a white boy, you tough.
Right.
Did you have to get in a lot of altercations with either your race, with the other race?
Not really. I was accepted from the jump. Before the gangs even started, I was already a hood baby. Yeah. Like everybody knew me. All my partners knew me. So before the gangs even got kicked off, I had homeboys that when we grew up, they went the other way. You know? In other words, when it all jumped off, I had partners on both sides of the fence. See, I didn't really just get real active until as far as it is, until they killed my family, Donnie Mayo, Misty Mayo out of Fort Worth. And the way it happened and the way it went down, I was already wilding out. So I went in. And at that time, it just kind of escalated from there.
Did you get a rush or excitement from the terror you were causing?
Oh yeah. I used to love it. I ain't gonna lie, that was and again, I'm not.
Yeah, again, we're not glorifying this.
I'm not glorifying it now. I made a lot of mistakes, but yeah, when you know, I put that Pyru love on, and we riding, and that's the honest truth, man. That's just how it went down. But yeah, I definitely got a rush.
Did you sleep easy at night? You get out there, boom. Did you just sleep like a baby, or you like?
No, I had lots of bad dreams, nightmares, and visions of my own death.
Oh wow!
Because everybody expected me to be gone. I was on Channel 11 Crime Stoppers in Fort Worth. You know, I was in the newspaper. Yeah. I had made all that happen, and I really, in my own mind, when they kept telling me I wasn't gonna, you know, make it to 21. I believed that myself, so I just went harder.
Yeah, most for those who's watching this back in the 90s, to live to see 21 was like a pipe dream for a lot of young men.
Right.
That was out here. So you never had any type of goal after 21, like no, when I'm 32, I'm gonna be doing this. You just
No, I didn't think I was gonna make it to 32. God's good. You know, when again, my life changed when 88 Dawg was born. Yeah. My life changed. At that point, I realized I had a purpose. Until that day, I was slinging that iron that night. Matter of fact, I was late to the hospital because I was getting us some money. And then when she called and I got to the hospital, he was popping out. But when he got in my arms, it changed my whole life. My whole life at that moment. At that moment, I was fighting demons.
Damn, you still had gunpowder residue On your
my
hands
finger
while you're holding your son.
while I'm holding my son, for sure.
That's why. Oh, you say you want to sit in on? Yeah. All right. He's grab the green chair. Sit next to him? Yeah. Go ahead and pull up next to him. Yeah. He said, hey, as we speak on him, the artist 88 Dawg, man, he gonna sit in. He gonna sit in through this one, man.
Right.
Right there. Right there. It's a blessing. Blessing. All right. So let's talk about it, man. You know, normally we have the situation, and before you went into actually do your prison stint, how many times you have been in jail, just like your regular jail?
I went to jail a few times, but I really wasn't one of them type. I really wasn't getting caught up for everything that was happening. By the time I was, I went to jail maybe 3 or 4 times, but again, you got to understand, I went to jail at 17.
Yeah.
That's the legal age to go. Actually, you ain't going to Kimbo no more. You're going to jail. And that's when I went to jail, as soon as I hit the age to go to jail.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's do it like this. Once you're about to fight this case, you gotta, I'm sure you gotta, what they call it, the paid attorney, or you got a public defender or whatever.
Paid attorney. My dad was a construction worker. I had to work, but I got my first attorney was Charles Roach.
Okay.
And I remember him, he told me right then I was in trouble. I was hoping to get a little probation and get up out of there. That wasn't the case.
He said he's letting you know, like, this ain't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get no probation.
Dang.
And then, I was already confirmed gang member in the city, so at a young age, you know what I mean? They were bothering me daily. The task force would just ride, because I had that reputation. Truth be told, that reputation was real. Like I was really slinging that iron.
Mentally, were you prepared to do prison time?
No, actually, when I went to the penitentiary, my uncles and everybody told me, son, don't go down there as no blood, or don't go down there as no gang member. Oh, so I'm young and I'm lost at the same time, but we end up coming out of the county. I already knew I was in trouble because every Crip in Fort Worth I felt like knew me, like we was really getting into it. And when I left the county, went to my first unit, and I had to go through Gurney. And that's when I was approached by, I was approached by racism for the first time in my life. I don't know that. I ain't never been racist like that. I turned racist while I was there, but it wasn't against nobody but my own kind, because I was done so bad by my own kind. And I'm not really talking about the inmates. I'm talking about the guards, the white ones that had power over you. You understand?
Yeah, you say that was the first time you experienced racism. Please, if you can, break down what that experience was.
You mean like, well, when I went to, when you get to the penitentiary, when you get to a transfer facility, they go to calling out, names. You're sitting in a little cage. They're shaving all your hair off, Gurney. If people been there before, they know. They shave all your hair off. They kind of, makes you, they don't give you a fade by far. They, and you're bald headed, like in the military.
You can't ask for.
No, ain't none of that. Yeah. You ain't asking for nothing. And once you get set back down, then they waiting on you. They got a thing called classification. And the GI is walking through. He's looking for Red Dawg. At that time, everybody called me Boolie for Cooley, but Boolie, right?
Yeah.
And he's looking for me. And I haven't admitted that I'm there yet. I'm still, we're watching everything. You got to understand, 17 years young, man, I'm in a whole nother environment now. So I'm watching everything go on. But finally, he contacts with me. He couldn't believe I was white. That's the thing about this whole situation. No one believes that it's a such thing as the real deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So he's seen you on paper.
Right. I was on paper. When you leave the county, you got a travel card that follows you all through prison.
Yeah.
And it said blood. At that time, he thought it was a mistake when it said white. The W by your name, white. So he's confused. The gang, he come in there and talked to me. He told me, he said, man, where you're at right now, you're in a big place, And I ain't gonna lie, if I sat here and told y'all I wasn't nervous, I'd be telling a lie. I was very nervous, but at the same time, I wasn't gonna show no fear, you know?
Yeah. You how tall are you? How much you weigh at this time?
At the time I was about a little under 6 foot, 150.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I wished I had that back, that weight. But again, once they find out who you are, they take you to the gang, you know, and then you go to classification. So the whole time before I even kicked it off and started, you know, going through my time, you wait on your ID to be made. They make that and they bring it back to you, and it was just it was a.
They call it butt naked gurney.
Yeah, they do, and that's funny. You know, that's what they call it. It's because they get you naked everywhere you go. You can't go nowhere without. I mean, on the bowling alley, down the run, you know, you get naked there. So I was told, you know, I talked to a few people from Fort Worth at the time, and they're like, man, homie, even a few Crips I knew that were there, you know, K-Love, he was there, Crip T was there, and you know, they known out in the street, so they're like, damn, homie, you're in here, you know, and it's gonna be hard. But listen, I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting what was coming my way, you know. But the thing is, I got with the white boys immediately. That's what everybody does. You know, they're all talking, and I'm kind of just listening and going with the flow. And they're telling me, yeah, you know, this and that, and this and that. And they calling black folks all types of racist things. So by me just being in their presence, it was bothering me. So I knew that this wasn't where I had to be. And it wasn't at the time because of the gangbanging. It was at the time because of the racism. You understand what I'm saying? They were so racist in prison, especially them white boys, but they wasn't racist in the open. Like they wasn't gonna sit out there and say, hey, you know, they wasn't directing. They put no license plate on it. They were gonna, in our groups, when we over here talking, we're the wood pile. We're supposed to be woods in the pile, and here they couldn't stop using the racist slurs. So anyway, I decided to make my decision right then and there. I talked to one of my partners in the hallway, and I was like, look, man, you know, I know this ain't nobody gonna expect this, but we're gonna do what I've been doing. And we're gonna stand firm with it. And right then was a whole different ball game.
Could I ask you, you know, you being with the white guys,
right,
and them talking about the blacks, what were their thoughts on just the whole process of Bloods versus Crips?
Well, being around the white boys with them talking, I would rather go against all odds and lose my life before I become racist. You understand where I'm at?
Yeah.
Like I was willing to die for that. I was already willing to die for this Pyru. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think I was coming home, to be honest with you. I knew what I was going into. Once I realized it, once everything come together, I realized it. I realized that this is gonna be a fight. This is gonna be a real fight. And that's why the time they gave me, I had to do it all. Because I wasn't gonna take no disrespect. I had certain people tell me I couldn't chunk up Pyru in the hallway. You know, and they're Pyrus. They wasn't accepting that. But guess what? Bring your ass out here and let's do what we gotta do. But you're gonna respect me before I leave here. And that's basically what happened. And again, I'm not cocky, man. Nowadays, I'm happy and humble. But then I was cocky. And I was gonna get it in. Win, lose, or draw. Many fights, I wasn't even, listen to me, when I first got to the penitentiary, my hands wasn't all that. I couldn't fight like that. I wasn't just no gorilla like that. But over time, Tyrone Cotton, Dallas, Vincent Webb, they put me on them pads, a daily routine, pop, 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 punching them pads. And before you knew it, I could fight. Fight a lot better than I mean, you know,
Do you remember your first fight?
I do. I remember the name of him. I remember the first fight. My first fight was with a white boy named Casio. And I never forget it because he was wearing a watch that said Casio. And that's what's always, but this was a big old swole white boy. And we were playing handball on Telford unit in the dorms. And again, it was a trauma center. It was gang banging, you know, that they were getting it in.
Yeah.
So I'm hitting this handball, playing. And he bumped into me. And, you know, I'm used to saying to, you know, my partner, what's up, bitch? You know, that was a turn, you know, wasn't in a negative way, right?
Yeah.
Well, he bumped into me and he said, bitch, move. And hell, I didn't take that as but I'm in prison. That's a whole different story now, you know. Ain't no bitches there, you know. So I get done playing the game, but everybody looking at me with a sour face, man. Everybody looking at me sour. Like, oh shit. I'm like, what's up, homie? Oh man. Like, what do you mean? I remember 10K from Dallas right here, 10K. Crip dude too. He's like, homie, ain't do it like that. I'm like, what are we talking about? I go back in the dorm, I'm washing my hands. He's standing behind me like, you gotta go fix that. I said, okay, what are we talking about? I'm still young, but I'm fighting, I'm playing on them pads. I'm getting my better, but I didn't think about what he's talking about. He's like, man, you gotta fix this now. So I remember to this day exactly how it went down. I went to the rec yard. Rec yard's kind of set up like a diamond out there, like this. So you come into these two dorms like this, and then the rec yard out in the middle, handball court and all that. And white boys, they posted up. And this white boy's a swole. This white boy ain't little bitty. He's older than me too.
Casio, this nigga.
I'm looking. I said, man, I'm gonna knock this white boy out. I walked by him. I got so nervous when I got by him, homie. I was young. I just kept going. I walked by him again. That third time I walked by him, it was time to go in on the rec yard, and I had to redeem myself right now. So right then and there, it went down. Make a long story short, me and him started tussling, and it was a big fight. But he had nothing, and that's when I realized that all that pad I was hitting on and all that movement, it really works. See, when you doing that, and them pads don't hit back. You understand? You out there squabbling with them, hitting pad, left, whatever. But when you actually in the combat mode, I didn't have my pistol. I had to get it in. And right then I realized that, hey, this ain't that bad. After you get hit a few times, you realize, oh yeah, I'm good. When you punch shy, you're young, you get hit, you're nervous. But once they hit you a few times and you realize, oh shit, I can do this.
Oh, you can take them. He said, I can take them.
Right then and there, I realized, it's going down. And from that day on, my name started building. Because look here, if I sat here and told you I won every fight I fought, I'd lie to you. You understand? Yeah. But I did fight, and I stayed down. Now wait a minute, that was in the beginning.
Yeah.
Toward the end, I didn't lose no fights. I was really getting it in, and I knew that my heart was where it was lying. It was time to get it in. So from that unit, I'd go to the next one, and by the time I'd even get to that unit, the dogs that were there, the Bloods, the Pyrus, and the Crips that were there knew me. Not like, they just knew me. They didn't heard of me. If they weren't from my city, they heard of me. Everybody in my city already knew me.
Yeah.
Like I said again, in this situation, there's a lot of people that are claiming to be something, right? But and they're not. You know what I mean? I am really who I'm telling you I am. I watch all these white boys on the internet and they're all this and all that, and no disrespect again, but they, you ain't that until you had to travel like I have. And somebody like that, well, if you had to travel the way that I've traveled, you would have committed suicide on this mission. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this mission was not nothing easy, and to this day, I'm so shocked. I try to fight for my respect. See, this all started, to be honest with you, is because somebody said in my city that don't know me, he was white. I have two white friends. I got to point them out. I have two white friends. And to this day, that's the only, and I've allowed them into my circle of my family. And he was like, you ain't, they tell me my nephew said that he's from the east side. Ain't no such thing as a white blood. And I'm from the east side. I said, well, how's your nephew from the east side and don't know who the fuck I am? And not in a bad way, east side, is because I'm done with the pistol play. It was for the respect, and however many in my neighborhood, to be a white boy, you have to be known. Somebody's got to know that there's a white boy right there. That's a white boy. I'm at all the functions. I'm at all the Eastwood days. I'm at the car wash. So that white boy, that's a white boy. That's a white boy. People say, and I got some comments that said that the white boy, it's offensive to be called a white boy. I don't take that shit offensive, man. I don't take that shit to be offensive, because I done been through so much. I block out racism. If that's a racist slur they're throwing at me, man, keep that shit, because that don't hurt me. White boy don't hurt me. It hurts me when you maybe you go a little deeper with that, but again, I done built up this tough skin where none of that really bothers me, because I've went against everybody for so long. The whole city by myself.
Facts. You on the Bob Report. Shout out to Bob Report as well.
Shout out to the Bob Report, my lawyer.
Yeah. I will say this. That's funny. I will say this. You had mentioned, which I didn't even know was a thing, like there was almost a white on white war while you was on the inside.
Yeah.
They really go at each other in that sense. And what is
yeah. You and TDC, it ain't nothing funny about it. Like I said, a lot of youngsters don't even have no idea what they're getting into, and that's my mission right now is to stop them from going. Yeah. That's another reason I'm behind this camera like this, because I got a bigger movement besides just what we're talking about. I want to try to stop that from happening. I want to stop people from killing I want to stop the youngsters from killing each other, give them some guidance, some knowledge, and understand there is an OG out here. You understand what I'm saying? And it ain't just me by far. It's a lot of people don't want to bother with them, but I want to, because I got them. Yeah. I got them, and I got to stop it as much as I possibly can.
So what was the issue regarding them just going at each other, just the white on whites?
In the penitentiary, it was I remember this clearly. This date, exactly what we talked about. I was on Ferguson unit, and at this time I was on medium custody, and the white boys, or the white men, that might take it offensive, they were at war, and I remember it was Aryan Brotherhood, and it was White Knights. I think it was white. No. It was Aryan Brotherhood and Aryan Circle. And for some reason, because I don't know why, but they was going to war. Like when I say go to war, it was war. Like in penitentiary, war is like war, man. It's not like a few people getting hurt. They're trying to kill everything that has something to do with it. And I remember I was on, and I was over there with Hard Time, Ronnie Hall, and that's Lonnie Hall's brother out of Truman. Anyway. I remember the way it unfolded, man. The white boys was getting into it, and at that time, everybody had, you could tell they were getting into it because every time we'd fall out, they were fighting. Now I'm on medium custody. There wasn't no white boys on closed custody. Now this is medium custody. It's a little bit more easy, okay? But not that much. But make a long story short, medium, it wasn't closed. See, I came from closed. I was the only white boy on closed custody, Ferguson. At that time. Yeah, it's a war. And when I made it to the medium custody, like I said, the white boys were getting into it, and we knew that it was. You could feel in prison. You can feel it on your skin. You can feel the tension that's building. So I was, I'm in my cell, and I remember clearly they rolling doors. Now in the penitentiary in TDC, when they have riots, big riots, they separate them. They start sending them to different units to try to stop the people from killing each other. So they were sending all the white boys out of there, and I never forget it. I was in my cell looking, I'm holding the bars, I got my mirror on the run, here they come, they rolling, row 13, it roll 22, and they getting them, handcuffing them, taking them. I'm looking, ain't no other white boys left. The gang task force walks by me. I said, what's going on? He said, we're getting all the white, all the white boys off the wing. I looked around, like, damn, where are we going? He said, you ain't going nowhere. He said, but everybody else got to go. At that time, it's because I was who I am, and they were who they are. Yeah. And they knew in prison that I was nowhere near that racist. One, they knew my travel card very distinctively said Paru. Eastwood, Paru, or blood, they're gonna call it blood. Again, people don't know there's a difference between Paru and blood. It's just, again, I'm not here for the knowledge, the literature and all that. I'm just here to say we're under the same umbrella. Yeah. Just one, we wanted our independence. Yeah. Understand that, but that's way back in the game.